All right, welcome back, everybody. I want you to take a look at this chart, and when you look at some of the numbers and the names, I know it's really hard to read here, but you see the countries as they keep scrolling down here. Iceland, Finland at the top of the list. And then if you keep going down, what are there, 26, Andrew?
Something like that. There's Ukraine going by, there's Italy.
Right, exactly.
There's
you go
USA,
to the
next to
very
last.
last to the bottom, right in front of Romania. You never want to be Romania. Anyway, these are the rates of child poverty in the developed world. The U.S. has a poverty rate, get this, it blew me away at least, 23% of our children in this country live below the poverty rate. And again, when you're on the bottom of all the Western developed nations with the exception of Romania, right, not a company you want to be in. So the recession has, of course, made the problem even worse. More than 8 million children been impacted by the foreclosure crisis. Consider that, and then you consider this. In the state of New York, you'd have to work 136 hours at minimum wage in order to afford a 2-bedroom apartment at fair market rent. In New Jersey, the number, 138 hours. You get the drift here. I could throw a lot more numbers at you, but if I said to you guys, I'll start with you, Dominic, before we started, where would the U.S. rank when it comes to child poverty? I mean, this is America, after all. Would you have put us at the bottom?
I wouldn't put the country at the bottom, but it doesn't surprise me the actual results. This is a result of politics in America. No offense to my Republican friends, but when the argument is cut, 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 that's the consistent message that's been drummed into all of us. Cut, cut, cut at the expense of everything else. And so numbers like this are not surprising. I'm sure you're going to see the same when it comes to education and a few other barometers.
You know, Jessica, the one thing is, we were talking last week, and I had Nan Hayworth here, and we went through the Ryan plan that Romney's endorsed, and she supported as well. Among the key components was he wanted to lower the tax rates for everybody, but he wanted to lower the top-end tax rate to 25%. And he said, well, the way that you're going to lose, and I'll do the math real fast, everybody, but basically that's $420 billion less a year in terms of revenue. And on top of that also, basically he had to find $900 billion when it was all said and done. The way that they were going to do that was through cuts, and defense was off the table as well as Social Security and Medicare. When you see what's left, he was going to cut programs, Andrew, help me out here, like aid to pregnant women, food stamps,
unemployment, things like Head Start.
You know, I get when we got the whole welfare queen kind of idea, but nobody thinks anymore that people are living high off the hog on this stuff. You cut these programs down even more, and I'm talking about skeleton. I deal with mayors and governors of states saying, we got nowhere, we got nothing coming from the feds, and we got no money ourselves. Don't we get to a point, it's a breaking point, we see stuff like that?
I don't think the spending is not the problem in this country. We're spending plenty of money. It's just, what are we spending it on?
I agree.
We agree on that.
Yeah, so
can you cut more funding for these programs, really?
No, we have to make government more efficient, and look at the $800 million that was wasted on the stimulus plan. It's
not wasted.
Solyndra.
Absolutely not wasted. Absolutely not wasted. When you look at every metric of the economy
We're
rebounded right after the stimulus.
Point. But the fact of the matter is, we don't have a revenue problem. It's a spending problem. We need to spend money smarter and to have enough money for those people that need it, the social safety net. But the real issue here is the failed economic policies of the president. We need to empower small businesses to create jobs.
You know what? Fair enough. But I have a more basic thing. I talked to the police chief. I talked to the mayor, excuse me, in Jersey City. Jersey City's crime rate's been going up. They had to cut half the police force. Same thing with the fire department, right?
A few cities are like that in New
bunch.
Jersey.
I mean, I could do Camden, I could do Newark. My point on this only is, okay, there's always waste in government. I agree with you 100%. But when people are choosing a president, whoever the next president is, or the next Congress for that matter, there's two clear ideas. I'll give them at least that. At least Ryan put out a plan, right? But I got a question, even if you don't care about politics, how much more can you cut from the safety net? When you see numbers that were already over here and they want to cut it, I'm not talking a little bit, they want to cut the funding in a huge way. Aren't we getting to scary places when we do that?
Well, I think that nothing should be off the table in terms of the budget. You mentioned defense. I think there's probably waste that they can find in defense as well. But whoever gets in there needs to take a serious look at, in every department, where money is being spent, what it's being spent on. We obviously, it's American to have a safety net. We need to protect our most vulnerable, Medicaid, Social Security, but there's waste all over the place.
We're not talking scissors to this thing on the Ryan plan, right? They're really
they're going to be bankrupt.
They are.
If we don't fix it.
This goes to the underlying philosophy. We hear all the time from Mitt Romney, in America, if you just work hard, you can make it, no question. And the government shouldn't be the one picking and choosing. That's not true. And when you see poverty rates like this, what are the chances that a child raised in poverty, can rise beyond that? It's so much more difficult. It creates a permanent underclass in this country. And that's what we're dangerously close to doing.
And you can't do rainbows and sunshine that everybody's going to make it. I'm not suggesting that. But I'm just saying, when I saw those numbers, and I remember the conversation we had last week, I said, where are they going to find this money? And you're starting already with these amount of kids under the poverty line, and we're not in the third world. It's America.
Can we put defense on the table, please? Can we put defense on the table?
That's the untouchable.